So STAR data. So before we get into the actual portal itself, I just want to point out that we have uploaded a new page on My Aspire that sort of gives an overview of how to actually access your STAR data. So if you just go to My Aspire and go to the search bar and hit STAR, it'll be the first result, the STAR Enterprise Information page. And you scroll down and it's like Kelly green, I guess, button that says Reports and Data Analysis. And here, there are sort of three main sections to look at. So the first thing, and sorry, let me just put, you are not on mute. If you could put yourself on mute, that would be great. And then unmute yourself if you have any at any point. Awesome, sounds great. Thanks so much. Okay, so we have the 4 definitions box. So this basically outlines the various acronyms that are used on each of the reports. These are really handy if you're like looking at your reports and you aren't sure what a certain report is telling you, or you aren't sure what an acronym means. It'll sort of go through each of those and give you a narrative that sort of gives you background on generated and how to interpret it. And you have these for each of the different tests, although there is a fair amount of overlap between tests. The next thing to look at is the STAR Enterprise Reports Guide. Here it is on the screen. So this goes over not all, but what we sort of think of as the most high impact reports that you can access through the portal. It'll give you a sort of brief bio, or not a bio, but a write-up for how to actually use the report. And then for the most important 3, there is a demo video and then some tips on how to actually access that data once you log in. And we're going to focus today on these first 3 reports, the state standards report for both your class and students, and then the instructional planning report for your class. Okay. 2 more things on this page. You have complete reference guides for each of the assessments. So I think, Kat, you mentioned that you had a teacher who actually bought this, and that is fine to do. I think that you can get most of the same information out of these manuals. They are like 250 pages in, I think, for STAR reading at least. So if you download them, you definitely don't want to actually print them, because you'll be wasting so many trees. But those are great references if you have a sort of very in-depth question. And then finally, at the bottom of the page, for those of you who are thinking about using STAR as a progress monitoring tool, you can give it up to bi-monthly, so every other week. And there are instructions on here for how you would install the link either on your teacher laptop or classroom computers, or even if you wanted to actually download this to your iPad, you can do that by going to the App Store and following this list right here. So that's the My Aspire page. Hopefully that's helpful, and we'll be adding to this over the course of the year as we sort of keep working with STAR. And then I would just note that over the summer, our plan is to actually start pulling in this data into the Aspire data portal, so that we can actually access all of this stuff in-house, and hopefully that will make these reports a little bit more intuitive. All right, I'll pause. Any comments, questions there? Great. Okay.
Hi, this is Natalie from Rosa Parks.
Hi, Natalie.
How are you?
Doing good. How are you?
Great. Sorry if I missed it, but did you already talk a little bit about what is included in the progress monitoring? Is it a little map, a little reading? Like, what exactly does the progress monitor?
Sure. So it's actually all of the exact same tests. So if you want to take STAR Math in first and second, you could do that. If you want to take STAR Reading in first and second, you could do that. Or if you want to do Early Lit for that is fine too. In general, you probably want to use the same assessment that they took during the winter, just so you can actually track growth. But it'll actually be the same test, same length, if you will.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Sure. Anything else on that? Okay. So I'm going to go to our data portal, and I actually have a demo portal here from STAR, so we are not going to be looking at our own teachers' data, which is great. This feels a little bit weird to have your kids up on the screen in front of everyone else. Okay, so when you log in, you will not see all of these tabs. You'll see like 5 tabs maybe. And the ones that we're going to focus on today are the ones that you may have already gone to, the STAR Early Literacy Enterprise, STAR Reading Enterprise, and STAR Math right here. So I'm going to start with STAR Math. I'm going to open it up and go to Reports. This is the main reports page. And the first report that I'm going to look at is going to summarize how my class did overall on the grade level standards. So I went to, and sorry, I actually clicked a little bit too fast on that. So I'm here. So I'm second box. It says State Standards Class. I'm going to click on that, and I'm logged in as an admin, so I can see every class right now. But you would just see your own class when you actually log into this report. You're going to want to make sure that the reporting period is set so that the date on the screen is going to when any scores taken within the last 30 days. And I'm getting a little bit of feedback. If we can all put ourselves in, that'd be great. Awesome. Thank you so much. Okay. So I've set my date. Choose my standards. Because this is a demo site, I'm Wisconsin standards. Would see California standards. Common Core State standards as the data that I want to look at, and I'm going to leave everything else the same, and I'm going to say View Report. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I think I just muted everyone, including myself, on accident. Can everyone hear me now? Yeah, no.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Webinar amateur mistake, I guess. All right. So now I'm looking at the state standards report. What it is doing is basically taking every grade level standard for my class and then telling me how all of my students actually did in that area. So we see here we're on this first third grade Common Core standard, which is represent and solve problems involving multiplication and division. And it's going to tell me basically how my class did in this. So anyone who would be in this first column would be estimated to have mastered this individual standard. Anyone who is in the green column, obviously there are none in either, would be within mastery. And then anyone who's in the yellow column is going to be below mastery of the standard. And they will actually be, like sort of, well below where they would need to be in order to actually master it. Now you'll notice here that there are some students that have a red arrow next to their name. So what does that mean? At the bottom of the report you'll see here that it actually tells you. So in this case, the red arrow is basically saying that if this student, Charlie, Amber, and Jacqueline, if they make average growth for other students that have their same baseline score, they are estimated not to master this standard. So basically what what they're doing is saying, okay, everyone who has the same baseline score as Charlie, we are going to look at their average growth between now and the end of the year. In this case, it's going through July 31st, although for Aspire, we've actually set it to June 10th because that's the last week in the Valley. And if Charlie makes average growth for kids that have his same baseline score now, he will not master this standard. So right away, you know that these three students are going to need some sort of extra, intervention, tutoring, whatever it is, if they are going to beat the average or beat the odds in this standard. Now, obviously, some kids are going to make lots of growth and some kids will make less growth than average, but this is like a pretty good baseline that says, okay, I know right away that these students are going to need some extra support. And obviously, you would see this for every standard within your grade level and subject area. So I'll pause. Any sort of comments there, questions, ways that you might use this?
Will our report take into account that there's only like 5 months left versus if it had been given at the beginning of the school year?
Yes, it will. So it will be from basically this window until June 10th.
Perfect.
Anything else on this? All right. Let's move on. And this time I want to look at the state standards report as a student. So I'm back in my reports page, and I'm going down to the bottom, state standards student. I'm going to choose all classes for now, and my reporting period will be set to some date that's within 30 days, and I've got the Common Core state standards here, and I'm going to leave everything on this page the same for now. Let's say view report, and hopefully I've got fast internet, fast-ish internet. Okay, so here we have a student named Amber Kiyama, and I actually want to scroll down and see if there's a better example for this. Okay, this one looks pretty good. Okay, so we're looking at this individual, Kori Merzia, and we're looking at her mastery of Common Core state Common Core math standards. So there's obviously like a lot going on here. So let's start with the black trend line. So this black trend line is Kori's sort of overall scale score for her last test taken. So she scored on her last test. She was, if we go over here to the x-axis, she was at like a 540. So that's going to be her overall score. And then along the y-axis, you see that we have all of the grade level, Common Core math standards. And it's going to basically show you how Kori is doing in each of those standards. So anytime that this black trend line, again, that's her overall score, crosses one of the standards, the color that it actually crosses on tells you how she's doing in those standards. So if she crosses and it's yellow on that standard, it basically means that she is below estimated mastery for that standard. If it crosses and it's light green, it means that she's sort of that she is within mastery. And if it crosses and it's dark green, it means that she is estimated to have mastered that standard based off of her last assessment. Then, if you look up top, you'll see there's this blue line that says projected. So that is where Kori is projected to be at the end of the year. Again, if she makes average growth for other students who all started at 540. So basically, STAR says, okay, in the past, how much growth have students who have had a 540 in January made by the end of the year? And it says, okay, on average, students with this same baseline score end up at about a 740, shall we say? And then it'll also say, okay, it looks like she is estimated to have mastery of almost all of these standards by the end of the year if she makes average growth. She could make lower growth, and she could be at 650, and then obviously she would have a lower score, or she could make lots of growth, and she would be in the dark green for all of these. And then obviously you would see that for every student in the class. And then on the next page, it'll list all of the actual standards written out in narrative form and sort of how she's doing in each one of them. So I'll pause there. Any comments, questions on that?
Hi, Ben. This is Bonnie Brimacombe from JCA.
Hi, Bonnie.
Hey, so when you say it's comparing average growth of students, what data pool is that pulling from? Are these Aspire-only kids? What's the pool of students?
So this is a national sample. So there are approximately, I think it's 13 million, STAR tests taken a year, and it's anywhere from 800,000 to a million per grade level. And it's basically looking at other students that are in the same grade level and point in the year. Now, my guess is that the STAR sample is probably slightly more high performing than our schools, just because my sense is that it's a little bit more affluent in general. So I think that on average, our students would probably be a little bit below this, but it's sort of unclear how much. We have to wait until the end of the year to sort of see how we do.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, sure. Anything else on this?
Hi, Ben. This is Natalie again.
Hi, Natalie.
So does the program give any suggestions in terms of intervention that's provided? Yeah, I guess that's my question.
I'm sorry, Natalie. Can you actually repeat that? I think you actually cut out there in the middle.
Yeah, are there any suggestions that the program supports give to help move the students forward to these projected outcomes or even beyond the projected outcomes?
Yes, and it is a great segue to the next report, which is actually my favorite. So let me go back. I'm going to go back to the home page, and I'm going to go back to the reports. I'm under STAR Math again. And this time I'm going to look at the instructional planning as a class. I would note that you can do this for individual students as well. I think the class is more powerful, though. So when I go to instructional planning as a class, I'm going to choose Martina Garza. Great, so she's already selected. And what it's going to do is show you all the students in your class who have tested in the last 30 days and then rank them by their overall score. So I see here that in this class about half the students have actually finished a test and they're ranked from high to low. Alden up here is at almost 400 all the way down to Dylan who's at 193. And then in these columns I can basically make groups as I see fit. So right now I'm making 3 groups. I could make 4. And I could say, okay, I want Mary and Dylan to be in a group, and then I want Corey and Corin to be in a group just because they have the same name. No, you actually wouldn't do that. And then I want these 3 students to be in a group, and then I'll have Alden and Sean to be in the same group. And I'm going to hit next, and then I say view report. And basically what this is going to do is create an instructional plan for each group based off of the average score. So I've got my 4 groups here and the number of students in each group. And then I have the median score for that group. And basically STAR is going to go in and based off of a sort of larger analysis they have done, it's going to recommend skills for that group of kids. So let me see if I can, how do I make my thing bigger? View. Let me zoom out just a touch. Control minus, right? Yeah, I don't know. For some reason, this isn't working. Okay. So here I have group 1, Sean and Alden, who were my 2 highest kids, right? And basically what it will do is it will say, okay, based off of the average score for these 2 kids or 3 kids or 4 kids, here are the skills that they should be working on next in class if they want to grow. And then it's going to sort of highlight key skills in each area to actually focus on. So any skill that has an arrow next to it is going to be the sort of key skill for that area. All right, so I have, and I'm so sorry, I think I've accidentally shrunk my screen a little bit too much. There we go. Okay, so let's say that I have this group, Sean and Alden, and I know that they need to work on add within 100 using strategies based on place value. It's a first grade math standard from Common Core. So what do I actually do with that? If you go up to this top link up here that says Enter Core Progress Learning Progressions, it's going to take me into this sort of like resource portal, if you will, that is based off of all of the same standards. So I have my sort of I have my domains over here on the left. I'm going to go to number and operations in base 10, and I'm going to go to first grade. And I think this was the one that I was working on, add within 100 using strategies based on place value. I'm going to open that up, and it's going to have various sort of not only links to videos, vocab, and then quizzes for that skill. So right away you have a sort of worksheet that you can use during small groups, and as well as a link to the standards, an outline of the sort of key skills that they'll need to actually work on that standard, ideas for EL support, etc. So I think of this right away as if you're doing small groups, if you're doing some sort of intervention, this wouldn't be the only place that you stop, but it's sort of a very good first place to actually start. And this is also probably an example of if you're wondering how STAR tests these skills, this would be a way of knowing, okay, in general, like here are the ways that they are asking about these actual standards. So let me pause again, see if there are any comments or questions. Nada. Okay. So we have 4 minutes left. There's one more report that I think it's worth actually looking at. And let me go back to, we have some, there's no one chatting. Okay, good. Let me go back to, maybe I'll look at, I'm going to look at math again. This time I'm going to look at the screening report. This is a report that does a very good job of sort of sorting either your class or an entire grade level if you are an administrator or even as a school, and show you sort of how you're doing relative to national norms. So I'm going to go in. I'm going to look just at first grade today. You could obviously do this as a class, and then I'm going to look at this at the fall window for testing. And I'm going to use the school benchmark for now. And I want to see students in all of these groups, those that are at the benchmark, those that are on watch, those that need intervention, and then those are urgent intervention. This sort of aligns very well with the RTI model for those of you who may be using that at your school. So I run the report, and it's going to show me how first grade is doing overall. So in this report, anyone who is green is either at the 40th percentile nationally or above. So out of this school, 81% of students are either at the 40th percentile, which is shown here as a black line, or they are higher than that. Anyone who is in between the 25th percentile and the 40th percentile is shown in blue. Those are the students on watch. And then those between the 10th percentile and the 25th are in yellow, and then those in need of urgent intervention, i.e. anyone below the 10th percentile, would be here in red. And then if you sort of scroll down, it'll show you names of those students, as well as sort of their sort of like overall score and their grade level equivalent as well. So that's the screening report. We're getting pretty close here to 5 o'clock, and I want to make sure that we honor time. So I'm going to go ahead and pause for now. Anyone else who wants to hang out and ask any sort of questions or comments, feel free to do so. But if you don't, feel free to hop off. And I just want to say a big thanks for joining on a Wednesday afternoon.
Thank you, Ben.
Thanks, guys.